So I was trying to say that my first thanks is to you, Anisha, and the Exito platform for creating this opportunity. I'm also extending a very big bouquet to the African leaders who have amplified the spirit of Ubuntu into AFCFTA, which is about 1.2 billion people in 55 countries. It is an exciting opportunity, but it is a lot of heavy lifting. And there has been a lot of discussion on technology, but I am not going to focus on technology. I am going to focus on some of these issues, which are very, very critical to any successful transformation. So we'll see how we can leapfrog into a digital continent. We will see that transformation is about people. I heard some speakers talking about that. African youth and the mobile they have, the digital transformation and digital learning. What is the relation between the two? What is the new path of learning, and what is the seven blind men have to say about the elephant, the new elephant in the room, which is the LMS? And then see how the hopes and aspirations of 1.2 billions can be achieved and how might we contribute. So we see it is possible to leapfrog into a digital continent, but my spin to this is that it is the frog that is leaping, and we have to ensure that the frog likes it. So it is possible to put the frog into a pond from a well, and the assumption would be that we are giving greater degree of freedom to it, but it is not necessary. The frog may not like it. Similarly, we may change the water in the well and get fresh water from the mountain springs, but the frog may die because his whole ecosystem has been changed. And if it survives, it may not like us at all. So it's the frog that has to leap, and we have to create conditions that make sense to the frog. So all transformation is about people. So this is the story of an Indian social event where they hang a pot of buttermilk, and the community gets together to create a pyramid so that they can reach out to it, and the award goes to the team that creates the biggest pyramid. So the point here I'm trying to make is it's about people. Whether it's technology, whether it's any other effort, they have to collaborate and work together and give their best. African youth has been mentioned several times in this session. And we also know that everywhere it's the youth that holds the key to the future. And the youth with mobile is what we should not undervalue or ignore. What actually happens in real life is that whenever I see a new device at home, I seek the help of the youngest member to tell me how to use it. But in office and working situations, what we do is the other way around, because common wisdom is that we should, the senior person in the organization who is responsible for the running the organization, or people who are helping him, obviously seem to know everything about the organization, and they also know what is the new entrant going to learn before it has to come into the organization. But in case of digital technology, the challenge is that the new entrant knows more about technology, and yet we undervalue that aspect. Digital transformation and digital learning for us are two sides of the same coin. Digital transformation definitions we can find out from everywhere. We know the frameworks that we require for particular situations, but I would like to share an experience where we went wrong, and maybe that makes a point here. So we were asked to plan for e-learning in a school in a rural area, and we thought we were doing everything right. We got the number of students, the classes, the categories, and then we decided what device should go to everybody. We also decided to put a server room there, and we went there with this elaborate planning to the village. And what we find is shocking, because neither the village headman nor the head of the school is impressed with our efforts. And we discovered soon, because that school has no chairs and tables, the children squat on the ground. There's very inadequate or improper electrical fitting, so we don't know where to put the laptops and the computers. And the server room, how do you put it there? Because it's an old ramshackle building. But the a teacher comes up with a very interesting and simple request. He says, if you give me smart TVs, I will connect them to the internet through our laptops and we can run a class, a hybrid version of what you're trying to do for us. So that is what we must remember. If we want to implement a technology solution, we must consult the local stakeholders. We should depend on the local leadership and use the local resources. So the likely chances are that we will come up with a solution which is acceptable to them, and we'll be sort of heading into digital transformation a proper way. Why digital learning? Because every transformation has a few uh, aspects. For example, uh, every new process you have to train people, then there has to be peer-to-peer collaboration, there has to be a feedback loop, and there is knowledge management. So all these features are available in a learning management system. So it facilitates the transformation through technology and through digital learning. Now it's important to also understand the new path to learning. The new path to learning is people go to the internet and find what they want. And there is a lot of content. Some of it is good, some of it is not so good. And the challenge, therefore, is how do you balance the dynamics of the teacher and the student in this new environment, the formal and the informal training, and the difference between teaching and learning. And if we understand that, then maybe we are heading towards a successful digital transformation journey. This is the elephant, and there are seven blind men. This is a story from the Indian folklore. And when they come across this element, and because they cannot see it, they try to feel and decide for themselves what it is. So the person who's on the bottom, maybe in this context, thinks it's hosting, like you have to be there. And people who are holding the tail or the trunk, and they think it's some kind of a pipe, maybe it's the network. We know that everybody is using virtual classroom these days. Post-COVID particularly, everybody thinks it's virtual classroom that is the core of e-learning. It is an important part of that, but it is not sufficient. And to have virtual classroom on virtual meeting tools in a synchronous mode without any facility to store and save the content that can be recalled is hardly any learning delivered in the proper way. So for us, I think it's the LMS, which is the brain or the nerve center. And we have come across a lot of clients who have uh, made the wrong choice on the LMS. They've created a lot of content and they've gone wrong with it. The content is not SCORM compliant, so they cannot transport it from one LMS to another LMS. So these are the challenges we have seen our clients facing, and we would like to flag this as an issue. LMS is the nerve center, make that choice. Look at open source LMSs because they are modular, they lend to modular structure, they are interoperable. The total cost of ownership is low. You don't have to depend on a vendor lock-in. These are some of the features we have to offer to people who are intending to use digital learning, either for learning or education or skilling, or as a part of their digital transformation process. So the first thing is the We Workplace. Now, ever since COVID struck, we also had to look at opportunities of situations of hiring people from anywhere in the world. So there is a new employee who will never come to us, we will never see it, but you have to evaluate his profile for your job. Then you have to induct the person. Then he has to work with people who he is never going to meet. And therefore, we create a we social workplace, social networking. And finally, the exit of the person. So he wants to go, and we create a full solution for that. There's a lot of content on the internet. We know that, but how do you use it? We know that when we want to use it, we are using bookmarks and flags on the browser, but it's very easily lost. So we have created a tool on an open source platform where you can put all the content that you have and you want to read it again in the form of a V library. Similarly, when you want to read and you also want to follow the reading practice of others also, So there's a reading tracker which is available on open source platforms. So you can ask them to go to the library, pick up a book, and you track the reading of those individuals to the last detail. Gray School. So let's talk about Gray School and V Classroom. So V Classroom, as we see today, people have started thinking of the V meeting tool that we use as the end of e-learning, which is not correct, because one, to put everybody on a synchronous mode, you are consuming a lot of bandwidth resources, and especially in areas where bandwidth is less, it is a challenge. The network does not work, and there is a lot more to e-learning solution besides the e-classroom. Gray School is a variant of Moodle because we are a Moodle partner. So the default Moodle that is available to download from the Moodle site is a sandbox, which it's difficult to use. So we have added some features on it. So it's easy to go download and start working. That is very easy to start working, means there's a quick decision. And then you can go on to add features that you want, and you come back to us. We can improve the functionalities and the features of the LMS. So we would like to be there to connect people on the left side to the technology on the right side, and be a part of the story where we hope to fulfill the aspirations of 1.2 billion people across the continent. So I think they say it like this, donkey in African. So if you have any questions, I will be happy to attend to them.